Coming up, coach dismissed, but his attorney says the Shenandoah School District has it all wrong. Plus, just 6 votes now separate Jim Tedisco and Scott Murphy. And a rare act of kindness at the state capitol. Live at 11 is next.
From WNYT Albany, News Channel 13, live at 11, begins right now.
A smear campaign. The lawyer for a local track coach says his client's reputation is being trashed after Shenandoah School District suspends the coach for a revoked teaching license. Good evening and thanks for joining us, everyone. I'm Jim Kambrich. The superintendent at Shen says that 54-year-old Don Peretta kept coaching the boys' track team even after his teaching license had been revoked over sexual abuse allegations in the early 90s. Tonight, Peretta's attorney is firing back, saying his client did nothing wrong. News Channel 13's Beth Wertman joins us now from the newsroom with our top story. Good evening, Beth.
Good evening, Jim. This attorney says the school district found out about the license years ago and is unfairly placing blame on Peretta.
I think his reputation's been thrown in the dumpster by the school district.
David Ehrlich is the attorney for 54-year-old Don Peretta, the boys' track team coach at Shenandoah for over 13 years. On Wednesday, the district suspended Peretta after learning that his license had been revoked in 1995, following allegations of sexual abuse with a 15-year-old boy in Manhattan. The charges were dismissed.
There's nothing for him to apologize for or to make amends for or to disclose to the district. He didn't do anything wrong.
So the reaction was, it was like, God, you kidding me? Truly, that was a reaction, one of shock, if you want to say it, that standpoint.
But Shen Superintendent Dr. Oliver Robinson says Peretta did do something wrong by not telling the district about the case when he was hired in 1995, just months before his license was revoked. Robinson says Peretta only fessed up to losing his license when he was suspended.
He admitted that his certification was revoked, which was kind of disturbing to me because if he knew it was revoked back in 1996, there's a degree of moral and ethics that must come into play.
Robinson says the district got a notice about the revocation from the state education department in 1996, but doesn't know why it wasn't acted upon. While there haven't been any complaints about the coach since, the district is urging parents to contact them or police with any information. That's what bothers his attorney the most.
This is a guy who coached in that district for 15 years. Thousands of kids went through his program without a complaint, without an incident. And now, all of that is all for nothing.
The school board meets Tuesday night to decide if Peretta will lose his job. Peretta and his attorney are planning to be there. Reporting from the newsroom, Beth Werfman, News Channel 13.
Thanks, Beth. Last night at 11, we reported that Don Peretta was a level 1 sex offender. That was not accurate, and we regret the error. Peretta was arrested in 1992 and charged with sexually abusing a 15-year-old student in Manhattan. A judge agreed to dismiss those charges 6 months later if Peretta didn't get into trouble with the law again, and that is what happened. Matthew Lane of Mechanicville has been charged tonight with committing a criminal sexual act and unlawful imprisonment. Police say their investigation is ongoing and there may be other victims. Anyone with information about Lane is asked to call Mechanicville police. After 4 days of testimony, the prosecution has rested its case against Jovan Underdew of Albany. He's accused of killing 3 of his close friends in January of last year after a night of drinking and smoking pot. Police say Underdew admitted to shooting the 3 men because he was depressed. The prosecution also says there is DNA evidence linking Underdew to the crime.
It's how the jury is receiving the information and what they decide to give weight to that will determine the ultimate outcome. But needless to say, we felt pretty confident in the information and the evidence that we had in putting the case forward.
Either my client is absolutely the worst crook on earth and one of the more sloppy individuals, or somebody who knew Jovan was in custody planted that evidence. Somebody who was trying to point away from themselves.
Defense will begin its case tomorrow. Opening arguments were heard today in Columbia County Court in the retrial of Warren Powell. Powell was convicted in 1997 of strangling his pregnant wife and dumping her body in the Hudson. That conviction was overturned by a state appeals court because there was a problem with jury selection. Powell is serving time in state prison for an unrelated drug charge in Schenectady County. The Vermont House is expected to approve a bill tomorrow that would allow same-sex couples to marry. The bill has already cleared the state Senate, but there are not enough votes to override a promised veto by Governor Jim Douglas. Vermont pioneered civil unions about 9 years ago. Massachusetts and Connecticut are the only states that allow gay marriage. The race for the 20th Congressional District keeps getting closer and closer. We received updates late today from the boards of elections in Dutchess County and Warren County. And Scott Murphy's lead over Jim Tedisco is now down to just 6 votes. Other counties in the district are also recanvassing their machines. With over 6,000 absentee ballots yet to be counted, this race is far from over. The State Board of Elections says nearly 3,000 ballots returned so far are from Republicans. About 2,200 are from Democrats, and 940 absentees are from voters who are not registered as either Democrat or Republican.
There still will be court cases. This could go on for a very long time. Now will it go on as long as the Minnesota legal debacle? I would suspect probably not.
It has been more than 2 months since former Congresswoman Kirsten Gillibrand was appointed to the U.S. Senate. All 4 of her district offices were closed last week. She expected her replacement would be elected on Tuesday. Starting tomorrow, her office in Saratoga Springs will open back up again. Senator Gillibrand will make her staff available to help with passports, immigration, taxes, or veterans issues. On Capitol Hill tonight, the House approved a budget resolution totaling $3.6 trillion. The resolution sets guidelines for spending and taxes that will be considered during the budget process later this year. If approved, it will add over $1 trillion to the federal deficit. President Obama called tonight's vote another step toward rebuilding our struggling economy. The Senate is working on its own version of the budget resolution. More drama at the state capitol today. A state senator was released from the hospital for the 2nd time this week to vote on budget bills. Westchester County Democrat Ruth Hassel Thompson is being treated at Albany Med for walking pneumonia. Under Senate rules, 32 votes are needed to pass the various budget bills. That's every Democratic senator, since Republicans opposed the spending plan. Both parties waived normal procedure today and allowed Hassel Thompson to cast all of her remaining votes at once. She then returned to the hospital. The State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation made it official today. There will be no Empire State Games this summer. The games have had an annual budget of about $3 million, most of which comes from the state. But with the tough economy, the finances just aren't there. A committee will be formed now to look at other fundraising opportunities. The senior games will go on in June as planned, but they are paid for by the athletes who participate in them. The organizers of the Saratoga Arts Fest are hoping 3rd time's a charm. This is one of the featured performers in the Arts Fest, which will take place from June 11th through the 14th. This is the 3rd annual event. There will be 100 performances in music, dance, and visual arts. Organizers say last year's festival doubled attendance over the first year. The cost of an adult pass to all performances, about $30. Time now for a first look at your first warning forecast. Here's meteorologist Tim Drawbridge. Hey, Tim.
Hey, Jim. Hi, everyone. A good Thursday night to you. Not that bad of a day. Up to 64 with nice sunshine this afternoon. Let's go ahead and check out the current temperature. 49 in town with some high clouds continue to stream over that moonlight with sunrise tomorrow morning at 6:34. Your forecast for your Friday, cloudy, a bit breezy with rain developing just in time for the morning commute and continuing into the afternoon. Tomorrow's high near 57. More details about a cool start but a decent finish to the weekend. Your 7-day forecast coming up in just a few moments.
Coming up, strong storms move through Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Florida. We'll survey the damage. Also, why former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich is back in the news tonight. And Made in America, a website that only promotes products made in the U.S. of A.
Coverage you can trust. With Jim Kambrich, meteorologist Bob Kovachick, and Rodger Weiland on sports. This is News Channel 13, live at 11. News Channel 13 is sponsored by Huck Finn's Warehouse and More, the humongous savings store.
In news from across America tonight, former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich was indicted today on 19 counts, including corruption in public office. His brother, 2 former aides, and 2 businessmen were also named in the federal indictment. Blagojevich was impeached and thrown out of office in January for trying to sell President Obama's vacant U.S. Senate seat. Pat Quinn replaced him as governor and had this to say about today's indictment.
Today is a very sad day for the people of our state. People of Illinois are entitled to honest government all the time. The charges today are very, very serious. The defendants are entitled to their day in court. We believe in that in America. And the people of Illinois are entitled to an honest government that works for them 24 hours a day, every day.
Blagojevich released a statement tonight saying that he was disappointed but not surprised by the indictment. He asked the people of Illinois to withhold judgment until the trial. Severe storms swept through parts of the southeast tonight. They brought strong winds and heavy rain to parts of Alabama. Forecasters say that several funnel clouds were spotted in that area, but no confirmation of any tornado touchdowns. Crews are trying to restore power to the area as residents clean up tree limbs and assess damage. In Mississippi, an Amtrak train hit a tree that was knocked down by the storms. The train was headed from Chicago to New Orleans with 71 passengers on board. But now they'll have to finish their trip on chartered buses. The only injury reported was to the conductor, who has been complaining of back pain. That same storm system stretched north into Tennessee, where a suspected tornado caused a lot of damage in a suburb of Nashville. Bricks were thrown onto cars, and a sign and power pole were knocked down. Across the street, a McDonald's sign torn away. There's also a report that a roof was blown off a building where the Internal Revenue Service has its local offices. A man from Michigan has developed a website to promote products that are made in America. As Elizabeth McFarland reports, the man came up with this idea after a squirt gun made in China broke on him twice.
AmericanMadeProducts.com.
All made, manufactured, or assembled in America with at least a 51% rating or higher.
John Jankowski of Frankenmuth came up with the big idea while playing with a squirt gun like
when the first gun broke, and after throwing it away, then that second one broke, we actually looked at where the stuff was made. It was made in China. And we just started thinking about how we become a throwaway society and that we can do better. And Americans still make, many and most of the products that you can find here that are made with quality.
It took John and his team a little more than a year, pulled together manufacturers from around the U.S., and launched AmericanMadeProducts.com in February, with already thousands of products made in the U.S. ready to buy.
Appliances, boilers and furnaces, to cookware, to shoes, toys, tools, you name it.
All products marked with a colored ribbon with 100% American made in blue. Already the site has an average of 400 hits a day, and despite today's tough economic times, John says he believes one way of turning it around is staying true to the red, white, and blue.
You start buying more American-made products here, it's going to put that guy on the assembly line for one more day. What's going to happen is you're going to put more money in that guy's pocket, and then he can go and start buying other products and start expanding the economy here in America.
Elizabeth McFarland reporting this evening. Now, we've set up a link to the AmericanMadeProducts.com website through our website at WNYT.com. Still to come, President Obama moves on to France and Germany tomorrow, and protesters are already there waiting for him. And why would a father take his daughter along when he robs a convenience store at gunpoint?
Well, from the weather department, it was a beautiful afternoon after a slow start with the clouds this morning. The sun shined up to 64 with an afternoon high. Unfortunately, the rains are knocking on the door to wrap up the work week. Details with the 7-day forecast coming up in 2 minutes. Stay tuned.
Now, your first warning weather with meteorologist Tim Drawbridge.
And hi, everyone. A good Thursday night to you. Obviously, we've been playing in the weather department yet again. Let's go ahead and check out our current temperatures. And as to after a high of 64, well, clear skies, mainly clear skies here in town, sitting at 49, down to 39 with a calm wind as you make your way toward Glens Falls. But 52 last check at the Adirondack Museum, 51 at Carroll Durham, 54 at Pear as you make your way from Hudson over toward Pittsfield. Let's go ahead and look at the latest satellite and radar composite shot. We go ahead and stay close to home first. Lots of clear skies this afternoon with high pressure continuing to move across us, and then now heading out to sea. And obviously, Jim just showed you some of the video extending with the storm system from the southern Great Lakes through the Ohio and the Tennessee valleys into the southeastern portion of the country. Let's go ahead and put the surface features on there. So we do have a wave of low pressure, and this is the system that will be tracking toward us over the next 12 to 24 hours. Current position right now is right in the vicinity of Memphis. Behind this system, beautiful high pressure across the central plains. Unfortunately, we've got to deal with this storm system for tomorrow into the day on Saturday before we get into high pressure. And let's just say Sunday's not going to be feeling as warm as today did. Highs on Sunday we're forecasting between 50 to 55. Like Jim said, we've dealt with some severe weather across portions of the central and southern U.S. over the last 12 to 24 hours. Close-up perspective shows what's going on. Heaviest weather right now is down across central and northern portions of Florida, where they do indeed have a tornado watch in effect until 5 o'clock in the morning. So we'll continue to track that, and Paul will have the latest tomorrow morning with early today. What we can also do with the system is track some of the storm reports, and now the latest total is 163 total storm reports, 9 of which are tornado reports. And as we go ahead and look at this one toward Nashville, again, Jim just showed you this a little while ago. Indeed, a tornado was reported near downtown Nashville about 5 o'clock this evening. Now, the severe weather threat will be continuing as we head through the overnight period from the Ohio Valley down through the Tennessee Valley. Again, this is what we deem a slight risk of severe weather. So we'll be tracking this as the storm system continues to head our way as we head throughout the next 12 to 24 hours. Quick look at the model data as we head through time. Again, we'll be increasing the clouds as we head through the overnight period. And by the time you wake up for the morning commute, the rain is knocking on the door. And as we head throughout the day on your Friday, periods of rain. In fact, later in the day into tomorrow evening, perhaps a couple of rumbles of thunder once again. First warning forecast coming up after the break. Stay tuned. And welcome back. Your forecast for the overnight period will continue to increase the clouds. It'll be mild, a low of 45. Winds calm right now, but we'll pick them up out of the south at 3 to 8 miles per hour for the overnight period. Cloudy for your Friday. The rain coming in just in time for the morning commute. At least the tail end, that is, if you're not in by 7 o'clock in the morning. A bit breezy as well. And late in the day into tomorrow night, we could have a few rumbles of thunder with a high tomorrow. Well, not as warm as today, but still pretty decent. A high in the mid-50s. As we check out the day on Saturday, a windy day, lots of clouds, showers as well. Could be mixing in with a few wet snowflakes across the Adirondacks and perhaps the Greens. High in town near 49. A nice day for Sunday, highs 50 to 55. Before the next system comes in with rain and wind from Monday into next Tuesday.
All right, thank you, Tim.
You bet.
Now, taking a look at world news this evening, North Korea is preparing to launch a multi-stage rocket possibly Saturday. The U.S. Defense Department says trucks are in place near the launch site and fueling has begun. President Obama and other world leaders issued a statement at the G20 summit promising a stern response if the Koreans proceed with this launch. Japan wants an emergency session of the United Nations Security Council to address this. Hundreds of protesters battled police tonight in Strasbourg, France. President Obama will visit Strasbourg today for a summit marking the 60th anniversary of NATO. He will hold direct talks with both French President Nicolas Sarkozy and German Chancellor Angela Merkel before attending a dinner with NATO allies in nearby Baden-Baden, Germany. The G20 summit wrapping up today, but before leaving London, the president met with King Abdullah of Saudi Arabia. They discussed the global economic crisis and joint efforts to fight terrorism. President Obama reiterated his support for peace between Arabs and Israelis. This was the president's first face-to-face meeting with the Saudi king. Big Board Sports next on News Channel 13. Rodger's here with Taylor Battle in the NIT Finals tonight.
Yeah, and all of his points coming in the second half. He was shut out in the first half, but he came on strong in the second.
All right.
And we'll tell you if Penn State was able to beat Baylor in the finals of the NIT at the Garden tonight. Plus, we'll tell you what team Jay Cutler was traded to, and it was not the Jets. And the Yankees worked out for the first time in their new stadium. We'll hear what the players have to say about their new digs next on Big Board Sports.
Now, Big Board Sports with Rodger Weiland.
And former Bishop McGinn standout Taylor Battle in Penn State in the finals of the NIT tonight. against Baylor at Madison Square Garden. Jopa in attendance, along with about 16 busloads of students from State College, Pennsylvania. Battle did not have a field goal until there were 8 minutes left in the second half, but his bucket would give the Nittany Lions their biggest lead of the game at 50-40. And that got Taylor going. He knocks down the three, and Battle wasn't done. Taylor getting himself into the lane here. He ends up with 12, all coming in the second half. And his brother, Teron, the junior at Bishop McGinn and being recruited by Penn State, was taking it all in. And in the end, is certainly proud of his brother as Taylor Battle and Penn State celebrate the NIT championship tonight, 69-63. Well, the Yankees, many of them were calling it Christmas in April today because it was their first workout at the beautiful new Yankee Stadium. It looks great. About an hour workout attended by community groups and season ticket holders, about 20,000 people. Tomorrow night and Saturday, the Cubs come to town for a couple of spring training games. Listen to what Andy Pettit had to say about the new stadium.
It's great, man. I mean, they just did a wonderful job. I mean, just, you know, when you stand here and you look out at it, you know, the dimensions, everything, the wall out there, it kind of looks really similar. Really, you can't say enough about it. It's just so exciting to be here and just to see all the guys. I mean, everybody's just like, it's like Christmas morning right here.
And Citi Field for the Mets is pretty nice, too, and the Mets will play a couple of exhibition games there this weekend. Did not take long for the Denver Broncos to trade quarterback Jay Cutler. Cutler will play for